Hey everyone, so I promised you that I was going to do a video on posing, so here it is. I'm first going to demonstrate the standard NPC bikini posing. And then I'm going to move into the different types of posing. Typically there is a standard pose that all bikini competitors do. However, that is kind of shifting into another standard pose, which is this pose. So I'll get into that and I'll try and demonstrate as much as I can and walk you through everything. So this video is to help you get an idea of how you should be practicing your posing. There are a couple of you that are going to compete in July, and we've already been working with your posing. For the majority of you, you will be competing in November. So I want you to start practicing your posing right now. Don't start a couple weeks before, don't start a month before. You need to start now, because the more you practice, the more perfected your posing will be. And there's nothing worse than walking off stage and thinking, oh my gosh, I totally screwed that up. Believe me, I've been there. Like, as soon as I turn to walk away, I'm cussing at myself. I'm, just completely flubbed it all up because I either rushed it or I let my nerves get the best of me. And yes, you will be nervous on stage. That's totally fine. But the more you practice your posing, the more comfortable you get, the more fluid it will be. And no matter how nervous you are, your posing will still be on point. So I want you to start practicing your posing now, and at least 10 minutes every single day. Okay, because that's how much it will take in order to make your posing as fluid as possible. So I'm gonna start and demonstrate, and then afterwards, I'll do a verbal walking through the whole thing, okay? Okay, so to start, when you are on the side of the stage, before you walk out to the center of the stage, if you can see the judges can see you. And it's very important that you are already in some type of pose, because they are already starting to judge you before you even walk out. So you want to make sure that your posing is on point. So it's generally something that's going to make you have a tiny waist and give you curves. So typically I like to just kind of lift my glute up, bend my leg just a little bit, and then my hand is on my hip. You don't want to hide anything, so you don't want the hand or the side that's closest to the stage to be hidden. So you want it your back hand. Then you'll walk out, and as you're walking, you want to keep your glutes up. Because the last thing we want is to be walking with a saggy ass. We want to make sure that our glutes are up as we're walking out, okay? And then you're going to go right into your front pose, whichever that may be. Now, as I mentioned before, there are two standard poses. The typical is this pose. This is the most common. However, I've noticed that the NPC girls are doing more of the IFBB posing, and they're doing this side pose. And it's very, very complementary to the physique, because it pops your glutes, it narrows your waist, as long as you are lifted and leaning slightly back, because then it makes your lats flare. So you don't want to drop your arm down where your hand is in front of your quad. You don't want it on the side where you're hiding your glutes. You want to lift your chest, you lift your body, twist at the shoulders, and drop your arm behind your glute. So it's right on the side of you, but behind your glute, okay? So let's start with the first standard pose. Imagine you are in a box. And depending on which side is more comfortable, whichever side you twist the most, I twist better on this side, where my left leg is behind me. And my right foot is in the top upper corner of the box. And my toes are pointed forward. My back leg, my left leg, is in the back left corner of the box. So I'm in an L shape. So I'm not directly behind my front leg, I'm in the square, okay? So I'm at this corner of the box and this corner of the box, or where my feet is at. And this leg, unless I tell you specifically, this toe is pointed this way, this toe is pointed this way. So this is how my feet look, okay? Then, right now, my body is completely neutral in the stance, okay? I'm going to shift all of my weight as far back as my hip will go, okay? And I'm going to face to my left completely sideways. Push it all the way back. Then I'm going to twist my upper body directly in front of the judges to where I'm squaring off my upper body and my hips are twisted and sitting back into it. This is the standard pose. It helps pop your obliques. The other thing is you want to make sure that you flex your glute because it helps add curvature. So as you can see right now, I'm kind of just straight. So I'm going to pop my glute up. So you're going to flex it, okay? And then I'm going to lift my upper body, lift my chest up, lift my body, bring my shoulder out, but I'm not doing this, okay? I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. I'm lifting it and relaxing it. You don't want to hide it like this on the other pose I explained. You don't want to put your hand in front of your quad. You don't want to hide your flexed glute. You're just here. It's going to be uncomfortable. If your posing is not uncomfortable, you're not doing it right, okay? All of your weight is in this back leg. It's not neutral unless, again, I specify for you in your posing for your body, I want it neutral. But right now, practice sitting all the way back into it. Another example I've given, and it's a little, sorry if this is a little too inappropriate. I'll try and use a cutesy name. Put your coochie in your inner thigh. Sorry, we're all women here, so sit into your inner thigh, okay? Here we are. And then as you transition, you're going to bring your front leg, remember we're in this stance, we're going to slide it in. So if your leg is too far forward, it's going to cause you to have a neutral stance where your body is evenly distributed in weight. We don't want that. So bring it to where your back leg is holding all of your weight, okay? And then you can lift your leg forward and step out. That way, when you slide your leg in, all your weight is already in your back leg, okay? Slide your leg in, and now my feet are like this. And then we're gonna take a step forward, and it's gonna be about 8 to 10 inches forward. And you're going to turn into your back pose, or your side pose. And as you're doing that, you're lifting your glutes, you're sitting into it, and you're gonna pop your hip. So we're not doing this, we're not turning all the way over, okay? We're not doing sideways, we're turning halfway, okay? All your weight is in this leg now, and you're simply going to take your back leg, which is my left leg, and I'm going to step back. So glutes are up, keep them up, and step back. So if you're turning like this too much, it's gonna drop your glute, which is not good because then you're gonna have the crease down here. So turn halfway and it keeps your glute up. Step back into it. Keep your glutes up. Now I'm going to turn sideways just to demonstrate. When you are in your back pose, we are not doing this, okay? Now, I do not have an arch to my back. I have a very stiff, straight back. However, you can still do your back pose and lift your glutes up. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about right above your tailbone is a string. And I want you to take that string and I want you to lift it up. This is what we're doing, okay? We're not pushing out. We're not sticking our butt out. We're just lifting our glutes up, and then we're lifting our chest up and arching our back, okay? This is how the back pose should be. Secondly, when you're in your back pose, we're not squeezing, we're not bringing our elbows back, and we're not squeezing our shoulder blades. We are just dropping our shoulders. We're dropping our shoulders and our hands down, okay? So we're not doing this, we're doing this. And it helps lift and arch the back, okay? So when you're in that pose, it helps widen your lats, broadens your shoulders, because if you pull your arms back, what it does is it takes your wide back and it narrows it. And now you have your glutes that are down here and a narrow upper body, and you're gonna get off stage and the judges are gonna say you're not symmetrical, which is a problem that I had for many years. Not because I was squeezing, not because I was bringing my elbows back, but because, one, I was leaning forward too much and I was actually widening my glutes. So I was doing this, okay? As opposed to, so there's a difference between doing this, which is gonna make your glutes wider, and this, which is gonna narrow them. We want our upper body to be as symmetrical as our lower body. Secondly, I don't want any of you practicing this pose. Very, very little competitors can pull that pose off. One, you have to have small glutes. If your glutes are big, if your glutes are full, you can't pull it off. So most of us don't have tiny glutes. And who wants tiny glutes anyways? So don't practice that pose at all. Okay, so from your back pose, you're going to slide your leg in, okay? So your feet are side by side, but I kind of I kind of bend my leg a little bit. So I go from here to here, okay? And then I take a step forward and turn, okay? So I'll demonstrate. So back pose, slide in, take a step, pivot, step back into your pose, your original pose. If this is not your original pose, that's totally fine. I want you to practice it anyways, okay? So let me show you that again. So back pose, slide your leg in, take a step forward, pivot. So you're literally just sliding on your feet. Step back into your pose, and then into your other pose. And then you can salute and then walk off, okay? I think that covers the gist of it. Let's get into when you're in the lineup and you are comparisons and you're showing your glutes. So when you're in a comparison lineup and your backs are towards the judges, they're gonna have you walk from the front line to a back line, and there's lines on the stage so you know where to walk. So when you're at the front of the stage, walking towards the back, again, remember you want to keep your glutes up. So we don't want to go from here to here and walk, okay? And then this. We don't want to do that. When you're in your back pose, you keep everything lifted, tight, okay? Slide your leg in as if you're going to pivot, except you're gonna walk forward. Everything stays lifted and up. I walk on my tippy toes, okay? Walking on my tippy toes helps keep my glutes up. We don't want jiggle, we don't want to be shaking our hips. We want to keep everything nice and tight. So when you're actually on the side of the stage watching the girls, it looks silly. When you're in the audience, you don't see how they really do look when they're walking. So this is how it looks from the side. Okay? Once you're at the back of the line, you're gonna hold that pose. The judges will then instruct you to do a 180. You'll turn back around. As you turn back around, you will go right back into your front pose. Hold that until they tell you to walk to the front of the line. Then you'll walk back, and then that's when you can add sass, and you can add your personality to your posing. We don't want to do that in our back pose. So remember, anytime the judges can see the side of you or the back of you, you want to keep everything lifted. I think that that's everything for now. Let me touch on one more thing. So when you're in your front pose, make sure that they can see everything up front. So you don't want to be posing like this in front of the judges. They want to see your arms. So make sure that you're bringing your elbow and your shoulder forward. Tummy is tight. Glutes are popped out. Okay? When you're transitioning, stepping back and lifting this leg, you want to pop this up. That way we have nice curves here. Okay? And then turn, keep glutes. Now, in your back pose, I've been asked a couple times from girls if you should flex your glutes. In my opinion, there's no need to flex your glutes, because what it does is it squares, it makes your glutes look square. A good example that I can give you is Natalia Mello. She was the Olympian, the Bikini Olympia, Miss Bikini Olympia, what was it, like 6 years ago? It was her last Olympia. So she was Bikini Olympia for 2 years. Her last Olympia, the following March, she competed at the Arnold, and she flexed her glutes, and they looked square, and she looked super hard. So if you can kind of look that up and research it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But we don't want to be flexing glutes at all. It's not necessary. So I hope that this was informative for you. Practice, 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 again, at least 10 minutes. I try and practice about 15 minutes every single day, and I do it right before I go to bed. I stand in front of my mirrors, and I practice my posing. I look at my positioning, and the more comfortable you get, the more fluid you will be. I'm going to demonstrate the standard posing and how you can just constantly rotate in your posing, okay? So front pose, slide in, pivot, step back, slide in, pivot, step back, slide in, pivot, step back. And you can just do this over and over. When you're stepping back, now remember, you're not stepping sideways, you're stepping back into the box, okay? Slide in, step forward, pivot. Slide in, step forward, pivot, step back, okay? Lift the glutes. Okay, ladies, if you have any questions, make comments on this video, and can't wait to see you guys on stage.